All right, good afternoon and welcome to the June 17th, 2025 Oklahoma City Economic Development Trust meeting. I'll now call the meeting to order. Item 2 on the agenda is the approval of minutes from May 20th, 2025 Trust meeting. If there's no questions or comments, we can take a motion. We have a motion and a second. Please vote. And the item passes. Item 3 on the agenda is the ratification of claims for May of 2025. We can take a motion on that as well. Motion and a second. And that item passes as well. Brings us to the items for individual consideration. Item 4A is a professional services agreement with the Oklahoma City Economic Development Foundation, Incorporated. Mr. Sudol.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So just as a reminder, this one was deferred from the last meeting. There were some questions. It's my understanding all the questions have been answered and provided. Just as a reminder, the base part of the contract is the same as the previous year. The one change was having the additional services increase, but as we talked about, that was something that was kind of worked out between the city manager and the chamber in terms of just really nothing planned, but having the ability to do additional projects and things as needed, for knowing that we have a lot of big things coming up, you know, between the Olympics, lots of other activity in the next year. And just as a reminder, that money is not spent if it's not if it's not requested to be used, and those requests have to come back through the city and be approved by the city manager's office. So otherwise, it would not be spent. So just a reminder on all those, and be happy to answer any other questions.
Any questions for Mr. Sudol? No? If not, we could take a motion on item 4A. We have a motion and a second. The item passes. Item 4B is a joint resolution approving and adopting the amended and restated Film Incentive Program. Ms. Simpson.
Really, I'm going to go over this in broad strokes and then answer any questions you might have. But I want to say that I had a tremendous group of people with the city working with me on this, including your municipal councilor, Jared, Amy Douglas, Joanna McSpadden, Aubrey McDermott. And we worked on this for a period of 4 or 5 months. The reason we went back through policy is that it was created in 2021, I believe, maybe late in the year, before I was even hired and the office was open. So the rebate had passed, the policy was in place, and while it was really well thought out, we're finding that in practice, some of the things really needed to be tweaked, definitions needed to be clearer, and possibly a few exceptions needed to be made. For example, the film industry is changing at a really rapid pace, and distribution models are changing. Not everything, a lot of things are going directly to video on demand, or, Netflix has changed the terrain of the industry where people aren't going to theaters as much. We're also finding that people are creating content going directly to cell phones or the internet. So we expanded definitions of what will apply, and we actually had a company out of LA come in and do 2 or 3 webisodes at All Suite Studio here in Oklahoma City that go directly to the phone. So I'm expecting they're going to apply in the future. It's just a different way of getting content to the changing audiences, and these are really geared to the younger crowd. The other thing is I noticed music was not included in some of the language of qualifying spend. It's something we really want to incentivize. So music licensing done by Oklahoma City residents. It's a great way of rewarding them for their work and getting their work heard beyond Oklahoma's borders. And that same thing goes for editing, producing, scoring. Our industry's expanding. We have Apex Post, which some of you have been to. We didn't have any of those facilities before, so we certainly want to include that And that's helping us recruit projects in. One thing that occurred to me is we've had a couple of films that shot here that wanted their crew to maybe work in El Reno for a day, or maybe Guthrie, which is outside of city limits. And so long as we're collecting the payroll tax and I'm getting the film here in Oklahoma City, I went through all the channels of legal with the team here, and it makes sense to us that that should still qualify, because otherwise a film might not come here if they're having to cut, piecemeal the labor. Any questions so far on any of this? Okay. This next one's a big one. We are proposing an exception. Right now, you have to shoot 50% of your days in Oklahoma City to get the rebate. This time last year, I had Apple Plus calling me wanting to shoot some of season 2 of Tulsa King here. And based on this provision, I had to turn them down for a week to 10 days of work that would have been probably $5 million at a time that the crew really needed the jobs, and they went to Tulsa because we couldn't incentivize them to be here. They stayed longer than they planned to, spent more money than they intended to. So what we're proposing is if a project is going to spend at least $2 million, that we waive that 50% requirement, because on an episodic series, that's a big chunk of production, and I'd rather have some of that rather than none of it. Soundstages is a qualifying spend, and we just expanded that, whether it's pre-production, production, or post-production. And, if they don't, we need, some of this language we just needed to spell out. Say we pre-qualify a film, and they're going to receive, say they're going to spend $525,000 and are pre-qualified at 5% of that. If they spend $518,000, we don't want to penalize them. We still want to be able to give them the amount that they're qualified. So some of this language was not clear. So we went back and clarified that. When I went through and did the rebate application, I added additional requirements. They have to put our logo at the end of the project, or they don't get the credit. So I've given them digital logos, which you probably saw at the end of Twisters. So that's an actual contractual requirement. At the end of production, when they've paid every bill, I'm requiring that they go through a third-party CPA review to look at every expenditure, every document, and I've got to have a signed certified letter by the CPA that their check revealed that they met all the requirements. So these are just things to protect the city, to protect our interests that are not currently in policy. So that's a key thing that we're adding. Most of the rest of this stuff is defining, clarifying definitions, making it cleaner. Do you have any questions or concerns? I'm always going to be on the side of the city, as I was with the state. We want filmmakers to do exactly what they're supposed to do. And we've got to give them a good roadmap to do that. So that's what this is all about.
Good, thank you.
Okay,
Any questions?
thank
All right.
you.
All right, if not, we can take a motion on item 4C. We have a motion and a second. And the item passes. Thank you. Item 4C on the agenda is Economic Development Agreement with iHeartBrook LLC for the proposed feature film project, Project School. Mr. Sudol?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This is just the EDA. So as a reminder, this was approved back in October of '24 by this body, and then council, I believe, in November of '24. So this is just the papering up contract, standard contract. The incentive will not exceed $91,728.
Great. Any questions? If not, we can take a motion. And we have a motion and a second. Item 4C passes as well. Item 4D on the agenda is the fiscal year 2025-2026 Oklahoma City Economic Development Trust budget. Ms. Boggs.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm going to present to you our fiscal year 2026 budget. The total budget this year is going to be $23.6 million, and we're going to look at just a breakdown between all of our programs. We have our TIF program, which, as you know, has our downtown maps project area, the riverfront redevelopment, Northeast Renaissance, Western Gateway, Core to Shore. The total budget for this is $160 million, and it's going to make up 67% of our total budget. The next category we'll look at is GOLT. It's $40.9 million, 17% of our budget. This program manages our affordable housing, our job creation, our film incentive programs, and land acquisition. And the final category that we'll discuss is general economic development. This is all of our annual contracts. So think about Scissortail Park, Myriad Gardens, First Americans Museum. Those would all fall under this category. The total budget is $38.5 million, and it makes up 16% of our budget. You may notice that that's a little bit higher than what we had last year. We'll talk about some of the details of that later, but the primary reason for that is fund balance. All right, moving on to our revenue. So we have $233.6 million in revenue budgeted for FY26. We'll start with the ad valorem category. It's 16.9% of our budget. We did a really conservative increase this year. We looked at each TIF district and made an estimate for what we thought the revenues would be. Every TIF performs differently, and so we made those variable based on the TIFs. The next category is our state match. It's at $3.3 million. This is the Leverage Act money that we get. When a project qualifies for the Leverage Act, the state will match the dollars that the city puts into it. This is projects like Dell, Omni, Okana. So this is at $3.3 million, and it is making up 1.4% of our revenues. Sale of land is next. We're estimating $7 million. This makes about 3% of our budget. We're anticipating some land sales from the 577 project, so that's what's making up this revenue. The next category is our interest. $5.7 million is budgeted for interest. So FY24, we had a really strong year for interest rates. It was an inverted yield curve. We had most of our money in money markets at that time, but we were receiving a lot in our investments. This year, we kept it flat compared to FY25. FY25 actuals through May are at $5.2 million. So the growth for this year will be pretty comparable to what we're estimating for next year. For other funds, this is going to include a lot of different categories. We have several TIF loans that are out there, so we receive principal and interest payments from those. Transfers for capital improvement for some of our annual contracts, that's lumped into this. It's at $3.9 million, so this is a 3.2% increase compared to last year, so it's a pretty flat rate. The next category is general fund. It makes up 7.6% of the total budget. It's at $17.8 million. This is a decrease compared to last year, and as you recall at our last meeting, we had several of our annual contracts that the price went down, or the contract amount went down for those, so that's where you're seeing this decrease. But really, the general fund it's made up of two pieces, the revenue for the annual contracts, but also our sales tax revenue is transferred here and accounted for in this area. So some of our projects do receive sales tax. That would include Homeland, First National, and Omni, so that's going to make up this category here. And then last but not least, fund balance. This is the largest portion of our revenue for the year. It has increased 17.5% from last fiscal year, and the primary reason for that is because of the Skirvin money. We have $15 million sitting there that has been unspent, unallocated. So the total fund balance is $156.4 million. All right, we'll move on to our expense detail. As you can see, our annual service contracts, they make up 8% of our total budget. They're sitting at $18.8 million. Project costs are at $53.5 million. This is 22.9% of our total budget. This is a little higher than what we had last year, and that's with anticipation of the $30 million for the soccer stadium, the multipurpose stadium in Bricktown. So $20 million of that will come from TIF 2, $10 million will come from GOLT. Our debt service, we have 10.3% of our budget allocated for debt service, $24.1 million. In addition to the debt service, we also have the debt service reserve, which is required on some of our debt. That's at $30.1 million. It makes up 12.9% of our total budget. And then the final category is our reserve for future program costs. It's at $107.2 million, or 45.9% of our total budget. This next slide, I feel like, is a really great illustration of the actual expenses and revenues. It's more of a cash budget picture of the activity expected to occur in the next year. So really, if you're seeing expenses higher than the revenues, we're using fund balance to fill in those gaps. So our revenue total for fiscal year 26 is at $77.2 million. You can see from this picture, over half of our revenue coming in the next year is going to come from ad valorem, our property taxes. And then on the expense side, once again, project costs make up the biggest portion of that, and they're a little higher this year because of that MAPS 4 multipurpose stadium. And that concludes our presentation. Do you guys have any questions?
Had one quick question. You said on the interest it was in money markets, and so was that just a comment, or was it that something changed? Is it something different now, or
We
are we
did
still in
change some
those?
of it. I think about half of our funding is in money markets, and half of it we're working with our treasurer's office, and they've started investing. But over the last 2 years, we've had really high returns on money markets, and so most of the investments that we made were matching the money market rates as well.
I was just curious about that. Thank you. That's all I got.
Any other questions? All right, we can take a motion on item 4D. We have a motion and a second. Please go ahead and vote. All right, it passes. Thank you. Next up is the General Manager's Report, Ms. Boggs.
Just wanted to highlight one item on our general manager's report. If you look at page 2 under the GOLT, we had an expense of $1.1 million. That's related to the Harmony project. We were able to issue the certificate of completion last month and sign the final loan documents. So that is the funds that you're seeing right there. Do you have any questions?
No? Is this going to be your last meeting? Ms.
This is
Boggs?
my last meeting. That's a really great segue. Can I make an introduction, or would you like me to save that for comments from staff?
Why don't we save that for comments from staff? But I would just like to say thank you. Again, I know we talked about this last month, but thank you again for all the work you've done, and we really appreciate it. So thank you very much. All right, with that, do we have any comments from staff?
We sure do. I would like to introduce Jennifer King. She's in the green shirt. Jennifer has been with the city since 2015. She has a wealth of knowledge and experience. She's been in the finance department, public works, IT, municipal courts. She absolutely loves people and numbers. And one of the key things in her bio was she loves a challenge, which I think is fantastic. Some of her strengths include system implementation, process improvements, analytics. I'm so excited to introduce you to her. She's going to do a wonderful job. So please welcome Jennifer.
Excellent, thank you. We look forward to working with you. All right, any comments from trustees?
I'll just say welcome, Jennifer.
Yes.
Happy to have you.
Any citizens signed up to speak? No, huh, first time. All right, with that, we are adjourned.